back. In today's video, I'm gonna be showing you a quick mermaid sketch and then the process of the inking. I'm not gonna color it in this video. I'm actually coloring it digitally at the moment. Well, not right now, but I'm coloring it, and I thought about coloring it with markers, but maybe that will come later. I might record it, I might not, we'll see. Well, that's what you're going to see in the background, and meanwhile, I'm gonna be talking about how to always stay inspired or how to always have inspiration. I'm gonna give a few tips that I use, and then I'm gonna give you a few tips, and also I'm gonna tell you what I did and what I do now, mostly. So just bear in mind that this is my own experience. It might work for you, but it might not. But I find out that this is actually the method most artists do, or do something similar. So you might just want to try it and see if it works for you. So I started keeping up a folder with a lot of pictures that I found on the internet that I could find inspiring. I will save screenshots of Instagram when they didn't have the save feature, and a lot of other pages, usually keeping the name of the photographer. So yeah, just bear in mind the copyright if you do that, because I mostly did actually copy those to study them. Sometimes I will change them a bit. If I posted them, I will try to credit the photographer if I found it. Well, you can also do a board, a pin board on your home, or just have a folder full of, I don't know, magazine cutouts or stuff like that. You know, you can find inspiration almost on everything. It doesn't have to be a specific pose and face. It can be colors, feelings, just whatever. It can be useful for you to actually watch a lot of movies and read books, because they always give you a lot of inspiration. And you know, your preferences is what later will show up in your work, so it's quite good to include that in your inspiration too. So that's what I did in the beginning. I will keep a folder with a lot of pictures, and I still have that folder, but I don't use it that much anymore. Why? Because I found Pinterest. I had Pinterest for a long time before that folder, but I didn't use it too much until I realized that there's hundreds, thousands, a lot of pictures in Pinterest, and just a crazy amount of inspiration in Pinterest. And it's honestly so easy to find, so easy to keep, and you don't have to save it in a folder, which is usually a bit more boring and it tires you. But in Pinterest, you just have to click and say save. It's fast. So I keep quite a few boards on Pinterest for different kinds of inspiration. So for example, if I want to start a project and I want to draw, I don't know, witches, for example, I will do a board and save everything that inspires me related to witches. I will have a board for poses, anatomy references, things like that. So you can really create a board about anything on Pinterest. It's just mind-blowing. I will link my Pinterest down below in case you are interested in taking a look. But yeah, I just have boards about anything that inspires me. Sometimes you can even have boards of things that don't inspire you that much, and you start to become inspired by them. So it's also a good tip to find inspiration in other things that are not the things you will look for. So for example, if you're not very much into history, sometimes it might be cool to, I don't know, just read a bit out of a period of time. Maybe you'll find inspiration on that. You never know. It's actually, you can find inspiration literally everywhere. But this is mostly for inspiration. I don't copy exactly the pictures anymore, and if I copy something, it might be the pose, but then I will change the face or the hairstyle, things like that. And it's actually in my style, so you don't really see where it came from. And that's my point. I don't really want to use exact references anymore. What I mean with always stay inspired and always have ideas is actually have your own creative ideas. So what I do for that, and I really couldn't do this in the past, I don't know, in the last 2 years, probably mostly in the last year I can start to do this. just didn't have ideas. I didn't know how to have ideas. What I do now to always have some ideas, so when I really want to draw, I can just take an idea and draw it, will be take notes. Is as easy as that. Just take a note of everything that occurs to you. It can be silly, it can sound silly, but just take a note. Sometimes, maybe later, you will find a composition with that thing that sounded silly before. I don't know, there's so many things you can actually come up with while you're walking through a park, while you're at class. So what I do is I always have something with me to take notes, and this could be my sketchbook. So you can take a note on your sketchbook, or if you have an idea of a composition, just make a quick thumbnail. Usually, if I don't have my sketchbook, what I mostly do is taking my ideas on my phone's notes. And this is actually mostly useful because sometimes I have an idea but not really a composition, so I will write it down. And I try to keep them all in my phone, even if at the moment I don't have my phone with me. I will take a note and then put it on my phone. So I have a huge list there. And what you can do also, and there's many artists that do this, is always go with a little agenda that they save just for that, just for thumbnails or just ideas. And you can take a note of literally everything. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, woman with flower on the hair and hands in certain position and then the body in certain position. It doesn't have to be that specific. Sometimes it can just be woman with long hair. And you might have had that idea in your mind, and when you take a note, you have an idea, and then when you look back on that note, you'll remember what you thought about it. Or it can be just bubbles, I don't know, something. Sometimes it can be more complicated than that. Sometimes it can even be a quote from a book or from a movie. It can be anything, literally. So take notes of anything that sounds inspiring, like very inspiring to you. So whenever you don't have inspiration at that moment, because let's face it, when you sit down to draw, you don't know what to draw. It's just like that. Inspiration doesn't come when we want to. So you will just look through your notes, and some might be like, why did I take a note out of this? But try to keep it, because maybe another day you will remember why you did take that note. And even if it sounds complicated, if your idea is complicated, keep it. Then maybe in a year you can do it properly and you love it. Try to have something, always something you can take notes on. So for example, for me, it's my phone. I have my sketchbook, I will make a quick thumbnail. For example, when I sleep, I turn off my phone so nobody can call me and bother me. But I keep my iPad on so I can have the alarm there. And if I wake up in the middle of the night or I'm going to sleep and I have an idea, I will just take my iPad, put a note there, and then in the morning I will move it to my phone. And what I try always to do is to take my notes always in the same places, like in my phone or in my iPad's notes, or also in a little agenda I have sometimes with me, or my sketchbook. So these are 4 places I always take my notes in. In any situation, they will always be there. And then when you sit to draw, you can use this. But if you haven't started doing this yet, a quick tip to start having inspiration sometimes is just browse through Pinterest, Instagram, whatever, and just take a look at different things, different styles, and inspiration will come. Or just start doodling. Sometimes when you start doodling and making random shapes, you have an idea of a drawing. So yeah, but I highly recommend, if you haven't started doing these things like keeping pictures, keeping references, and keeping ideas, start doing it. Every artist does it. And I believe that until I started doing this, I didn't really feel like a complete artist. So give it a try and let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you have any other tips. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next Friday. Bye!